Our story today is about a single mother who becomes so consumed with her work that she forgets how to live her life. The story begins with Alice, a woman who has been working at a magazine company for the past 8 years. She's so focused on her career that she leaves her daughter in the care of her older sister to dedicate more time to work. At present, Alice is in Brazil for work when she receives a call from her friend. Her friend informs her about a young woman at the office who has been constantly trying to impress the boss. Rumor has it that this woman is about to get promoted. Hearing this, Alice feels deeply upset. After all, she has given everything to this company but hasn't received a single promotion in the past 4 years. Determined, she wraps up her work quickly and heads back to Paris. As Alice boards her flight back to Paris, she happens to meet a young college student named Stefan. Due to an error, his economy seat was mistakenly allotted to someone else, so he was upgraded to business class and seated right next to Alice. But Alice is too preoccupied with her work to pay much attention to him. Stefan is thrilled to experience the luxury of a business class seat for the first time. During the landing, turbulence begins and Alice becomes extremely anxious. Out of fear, she grabs Stefan's hand. Stefan is overjoyed by this unexpected moment, as no girl had ever held his hand before. In that very instant, he finds himself falling for Alice, though he doesn't say a word about his feelings. At the airport, Alice's sister and daughter are waiting for her. Meanwhile, Stefan discovers a pen drive under his seat that belongs to Alice. He rushes out to return it, but by the time he reaches outside, Alice has already left. Later, Alice's elder sister tells her about a man who is not only a doctor but also a potential match for her. But Alice has no interest in finding a partner and outright rejects the suggestion. Alice immediately heads to her office, where she encounters a group of women who don't particularly like her attitude. But her supportive friend John and her assistant Claire are on her side. Claire informs Alice about a call from someone named Stefan, but Alice dismisses it, claiming she doesn't know anyone by that name. In reality, the call was from Stefan, who wanted to return her pen drive, but Alice is too busy that she has no time to spare a moment for such matters. She goes straight to her boss and asks why she hasn't received a promotion. Her boss explains that her articles have become outdated and no longer capture the audience's interest. He tells her that she needs to bring some excitement into her life to make her work more appealing. He points to Lisa and says, "Look at her. She's been married 3 times as a social media star and her stories help our magazine sell well. You should try something similar. Otherwise, if things keep going the same way, you might end up losing your job in a few days." Hearing this, she feels troubled and works late into the night, wondering how she can bring excitement into her life. Suddenly, she notices a note from her friend Claire, mentioning that a guy was asking about a pen drive. That's when Alice remembers she had left the pen drive on the plane. Already stressed, this new problem frustrates her further. She quickly calls the number Claire mentioned, which belongs to Stefan. At the time, Stefan was at a bar and initially refuses to meet her there, but Alice decides to meet him anyway. At the bar, she encounters some women from her office who are surprised to see her in such a place. Eventually, Stefan appears and explains that the pen drive is at his home, so they'll need to go there. He leads Alice outside and asks her to hop onto his scooter. Alice, who has never been on a scooter with anyone before, hesitates and feels awkward. She even struggles to put on the helmet, so Stefan helps her. Meanwhile, 2 of her colleagues from the bar follow them outside and secretly take a photo of Alice and Stefan together, from an angle that makes it look like Alice is kissing him. They even post the picture on social media. She then reaches Stefan's house, where she briefly meets his dad. Stefan hands over her pen drive, and as she gets ready to leave, he asks her if she'd like to join him for coffee. Alice politely declines, saying dating a 20-year-old isn't her style. Hearing this, Stefan realizes that Alice probably doesn't like him, so he goes back to his usual routine. The next day, when Alice arrives at her office, she notices an unusual buzz. Everyone is looking at her strangely, and her friend informs her that a photo of her has gone viral. It's the picture where she appears to be kissing Stefan. Alice immediately understands that it's a misunderstanding. Nothing of the sort had happened. Surprisingly, her boss praises her, saying he loves this new version of her. He encourages her to keep this up, claiming that this kind of spice and drama will help sell their magazine better. At this point, Alice is completely confused about what's happening in her life. Unsure of her actions, she talks to John, who advises her to date Stefan, just for show. He explains that this could please her boss and make her articles more popular. But Alice feels uneasy about the idea. Pretending to date someone and playing with their feelings didn't sit right with her. But her obsession with getting a promotion overrides her doubts, and she finally decides to go ahead with the plan. The next day, Alice shows up at Stefan's college, surprising him with her unexpected appearance. Stefan is shocked and asks what she's doing there. Alice starts to explain, telling him that during her college days she had a boyfriend who looked a lot like him. She continues, "When you asked me for coffee the other day, it reminded me of that time. So I thought, why not take this a step further?" Alice speaks kindly to Stefan, making him feel like he's in heaven. She gives him an address and tells him to meet her there that night. The event is actually her friend's show, attended by many people from her field. Alice brings Stefan along, even though he's not dressed for the occasion. In reality, Alice wants everyone to believe that she and Stefan are dating, creating an impression that she's changed. For the event, Alice steps out of her comfort zone by trying things she's never done before, like drinking and smoking. During the event, one of Alice's friends gets too touchy with her in front of Stefan. Stefan finds this disrespectful and mocks the man's performance, causing Alice to laugh. Humiliated, the man leaves the place. Afterward, Alice and Stefan start chatting again, but then Alice receives a call from her sister. Her sister tells her she's invited the doctor for dinner and asks Alice to come home quickly. Unable to refuse, Alice lies to Stefan, saying her daughter isn't feeling well and leaves for home. Stefan walks her to the taxi and then continues on foot. Watching his care and sincerity, Alice can't help but notice how thoughtful and genuinely caring Stefan is. This leaves a lasting impression on her mind. When Alice arrives home, still intoxicated, she begins asking absurd and offensive questions to the doctor her sister invited. In front of everyone, the doctor humiliates her to the point that she leaves angrily. As days go by, Alice tries her best to impress her boss, but nothing seems to work. Determined to make an impression, she decides to take Stefan to a fashion show where the CEO of her company is also present. As the models walk the ramp, one of them trips and falls. Without hesitation, Stefan rushes to the stage to help her up, offering her support. This unexpected act leaves the audience, including Alice's boss, surprised and impressed. After the show, Alice's boss praises Stefan for his chivalry, even jokingly suggesting he could become a model due to his charm and good looks. Alice laughs at the idea, but Stefan humbly explains that his mother taught him to always respect women, and he was simply following that lesson. After the event, Stefan drops Alice off at her home on his scooter. Upon reaching, an intimate moment arises between them, but Alice steps back, feeling it's not the right time. Alice goes inside, leaving Stefan thinking he might have overstepped. Determined to apologize, Stefan visits her house later that night. Their conversation leads to a deep connection, and the two ends up sharing an intimate moment. By morning, Alice is filled with regret and feels incredibly awkward about what happened. As she's trying to process her emotions, her sister and daughter unexpectedly arrive. Startled, Alice introduces Stefan as just a colleague and nothing more. She hurriedly hands him some files and asks him to leave. As Stefan is about to leave, Alice impulsively kisses him. This gesture reveals that, despite her initial reluctance, she's beginning to develop feelings for Stefan, emotions she never intended to allow into her life. After that day, Alice and Stefan begin spending more time together. Stefan surprises her with small gifts that bring her immense joy. She cherishes these moments and enjoys his company, but deep down, she remains unaware of the possible consequences this relationship might lead to. Alice also shares her growing fondness for Stefan with John. One day, Stefan, with his innocent curiosity, asks her why she chose him when she could have easily been with someone wealthier or more sophisticated. Alice knows the real reason why their relationship started and where it stemmed from, but she doesn't have the courage to answer. She stays silent, letting him speak while avoiding the truth. Eventually, an important day arrives at Alice's office. A new project is being launched, and she is appointed as the lead. Overwhelmed with happiness, she finally achieves the position she has worked tirelessly for over the years. But amidst her celebration, a nagging thought lingers in her mind. What about Stefan? Torn between her professional triumph and personal dilemmas, Alice decides that the best course of action is to create distance between herself and Stefan, no matter how difficult it might be. But Stefan remains unaware of Alice's internal struggles and the decision she has made. One evening, filled with hope and love, he takes Alice to his college auditorium. There, he proposes to her for marriage. Alice is stunned, and the gesture doesn't sit well with her. She tries to reason with him, explaining that in 10 years she'll be 50, and their age gap will only raise questions from society. Stefan confesses that he's fallen deeply in love with her and doesn't care about the future or society's judgment. Despite his heartfelt plea, Alice firmly tells him that their relationship has no future and it's better to end things right there. With a heavy heart, she leaves the auditorium. Alice knows she used Stefan to secure her promotion, and now she feels awful about it. But what can she do? But she feels stuck, unable to tell him the truth, yet knowing she cannot be with him either. After this incident, Alice's life takes a downward spiral. She becomes distant, avoiding meaningful conversations with everyone, even her sister. Alice shares her feelings with John and tells him about the guilt and regret she feels regarding the moment she spent with Stefan. John comforts her and tells her that it will take some time to forget those moments. Meanwhile, Stefan is no longer the same. Cheerful and lively guy has completely changed. He shares his pain with his dad, who consoles him, saying, "These things happen in life. You need to move forward." But for Stefan, it feels like everything has come to a halt. Nothing seems right to him, and he feels a void in his life. However, his life takes another turn. But how? You'll find out in just a little while. 2 weeks later, the head of the magazine arrives at the office to review the cover photo. She isn't satisfied with it and begins looking around for inspiration. Her eyes land on Alice's laptop, where the homepage features Stefan's photo. Instantly, she remembers him as the boy from the ramp walk. Dissatisfied with their current models, she decides that Stefan will be their next model. Hearing this, Alice feels uneasy. She doesn't want to reconnect with Stefan under these circumstances. In an attempt to dissuade her boss, she says, "He's just a kid. He knows nothing about modeling." But her boss firmly declares, "The decision is final. Bring him on board or I'll assign your project to someone else." Now Alice faces a dilemma. She must convince Stefan to join or risk losing her position. Alice is left with no choice but to call Stefan. She even visits his house to meet him. Stefan assumes she must be missing him, which is why she came to see him. But Alice gets straight to the point, discussing work and explaining her situation. This doesn't sit well with Stefan, and he walks away angrily. The following day, everyone gathers for the photo shoot. Alice is nervous, as Stefan hasn't shown up yet. Fear grips her. If he doesn't come, her job could be on the line. Just when she is about to lose hope, Stefan arrives, once again stepping up to help her. After all, he loves her and can't abandon her, no matter what. He heads straight to the makeup room. A while later, John joins him there and apologizes, admitting that it was his idea that broke Stefan's heart. He confesses everything to Stefan, telling him the truth about the plan and Alice's motives. Hearing this, Stefan feels a mix of emotions but chooses to act. He steps out and in front of everyone, he kisses Alice. This bold move is meant to make it seem like they are genuinely together. Now Stefan knows the truth, that Alice had been pretending all along. Then comes the moment of the shoot. For Stefan, everything is new and he isn't able to perform properly. The photographer keeps giving him instructions, which frustrates him more. Eventually, Stefan snaps, leaving everything behind and starts to leave. Alice tries to stop him, but do you think she'll apologize to him? No, not at all. Instead, she orders Stefan to apologize to the photographer because she's obsessed with her promotion. She has no clue about how much Stefan is struggling or how deeply he is hurt, and frankly, she doesn't care. Now, she just wants this incident to end quickly. Watching Alice's selfishness, Stefan gets really angry and starts revealing the truth about her and their fake relationship. People are shocked to hear that Alice did this. Her boss is furious with her, and because of her actions, she's fired from her job. In just a single moment, Alice loses everything, her job and Stefan. That's why it's say that those who try to sail on two boats at the same time always end up sinking. And that's exactly what happens to Alice today. After Stefan leaves, she feels very lonely. She starts missing him, and his memories haunt her constantly. Everything reminds her of him, and on top of that, she has no work to do. She spends her days aimlessly wandering. But one day, when she misses him even more, she heads straight to the auditorium, the same place where she had rejected Stefan's love. There, in front of all the students, she speaks from her heart and says that she has decided to stop thinking about the future. Now she wants to make her present better and memorable. Finally, she apologizes to Stefan and starts crying in front of everyone. Stefan, who still loves her just as much as before despite everything he said out of anger, doesn't want to leave her. He goes up on stage and kisses her and everyone applauds. After that, Alice never lets go of Stefan's hand. Together, they start a new business and live happily together. And with that, this beautiful story comes to an end. So friends, be sure to share your thoughts about the story in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching up to this point. And if you really enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and share this video, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. See you in the next video. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Goodbye for now.